Have you ever thought about like what leads to happiness? Like, how can I be happier in my life and where I'm at and where I'm headed? Well, this was a question that I asked myself about 8 years ago, and what I stumbled upon was a formula that has significantly helped me to enhance my daily happiness. I think happiness is something that we all chase, but maybe it's not something that we're supposed to chase. Maybe it's something that's supposed to be felt. Well, today's episode is the secret to happiness, or more importantly, the secret to my happiness. And in sharing this, I'm hoping that you can adopt a couple different ideas that can help you to be able to generate your own sense of happiness. But once again, this is just a quick episode. This is just me hanging out with you just to kind of talk to you today about, I think that we all want happiness. So welcome to Honey, I'm Home. My dear friend, I really appreciate you being here today with me as we dive into the topic of happiness and we talk about the secret that led to discovering how I could find happiness on a more consistent and daily basis, because I feel like that's something that we all want. So if that's something you're looking to achieve, then this podcast episode is going to be for you. Now, my dear friends, if you're struggling to move on and create happiness and move on from the past, you're struggling to rebuild self-worth, self-love, destroy those negative thoughts that are keeping you from achieving the next level of success and happiness in your own life, I would highly recommend you check out my free masterclass, Happiness After Heartbreak, where I'm going to teach you exactly the steps that you can begin to take today in order for you to begin to move on, reclaim your life, and finally find a sense of happiness. Happiness is not that difficult once you understand that there's a actual step-by-step process that you can implement in your own life. So once again, if you want to check that out, you can either visit happyheartacademy.com/happiness after heartbreak, or check out the link in the show notes below. Now on to today's episode, where we're going to be talking about the secret to my happiness. My dear friends, today, let's talk about happiness. As your coach, I feel obligated to help you to understand how I became happy, because there was a time that I wasn't happy. There was a time that I felt like life was working against me rather than for me. There was a time in my life where I believed that my life was not going to get any better than being a kid from a divorced family who have alcohol issues and battling drug issues and having all sorts of, their own internal issues that stopped them from being able to give me and my brother the love that I felt like kids need, And I thought I was going to be trapped in this life of where I was going to always be that trailer park kid. I always thought that I was going to be broke mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. I just thought I was going to be broke. How come? Well, my reality was broke because my relationships were broke. And, when I stumbled upon like a very unfortunate thought, which was thinking about killing myself, as it should, it scared the hell out of me. I never thought I'd get so low in my life. I never thought that I would want to take my own life. And battling those thoughts put me in a very dark abyss that I had no way out of suffering than to just end my life. That's how I felt. Now, great, I'm very grateful and humbled that I didn't end up jumping off that bridge that fine day, that back in 2015 could have changed everything. What I believe was that I was going to take my own life by jumping off the bridge. Now, it could have just caused me major damage. I don't really know, but I thought that was my ticket. I thought that was my ticket to everlasting peace. And unfortunately, it wasn't. Why rush death when death is upon us all? Inevitably, why rush it? It's coming to you regardless of if you want it or not. So why, it's not like your life lasts forever. Therefore, your pain simply doesn't last forever. But let's talk about a little bit of, how I pulled myself out of there and how I found happiness. And I wouldn't even say it's something that I found. More so, it would be something that I got to generate into my own life. It was something that I realized that it was my responsibility to claim my happiness and be just a genuinely happier version of myself and for myself. So if you struggle with happiness, the first reason why is because you're not taking full responsibility for your own happiness. You are putting it on somebody else's shoulders, on the reasons why you can or cannot be happy. That's your own damn fault. I had to accept that as well. It was my fault. It was my own fault that I was making it everybody else's responsibility to make me happy, making it my father's responsibility to bring me financial security, and my mom's responsibility to bring me love, and my ex-girlfriend's responsibility to bring me happiness. I was waiting for everyone else to give me something that they did not have themselves. But I didn't realize that. I thought that, if you want to be in a relationship with me, you oftentimes should give to me what I want from you in order for our relationship to be happy and healthy. This is a very immature way of thinking. It's like, oh, well, I got into this relationship so that I could get something from them. No, we go into relationships to give, not to get. And when I started to take full responsibility for my own inner happiness, where it wasn't anybody else's responsibility but my own, my life began to change. My happiness began to show itself just ever so slightly, and part of the reason also, not only because of the responsibility that I took upon my own shoulders to help me discover what genuinely brought me happiness and how could I incorporate that into my daily life so that my daily way of being and living was just genuinely happy. Something else that I started to understand was there's a formula to happiness. And it's like, wait, what do you mean there's a formula to happiness? I thought happiness was, found in the journey, not in the destination. I thought happiness was given, not just something that you have. Well, the formula that I stumbled upon that significantly enhanced my happiness, because I also allowed it to enhance my happiness, which a lot of people don't allow themselves to feel happy, and that's your own damn fault once again. So if you don't want to be happy, then don't choose to be happy. That's on you. That's not my responsibility to make you happy. But it's my responsibility as your coach to help you understand that happiness can come into your life if, one, you take responsibility for it. Two, you allow yourself to be able to experience it, because a lot of you are not allowing yourself to be able to experience it because you're constantly being like, oh, well, once again, it's my thoughts. My thoughts are so negative that they stop me from being able to enjoy life. Well, once again, you thinking that you're not in control of your thoughts is also immature. Maybe you just don't know how to control your thoughts because you've never been taught. Well, once again, if you want to learn how to control your negative thinking, then check out my course called Happiness After Heartbreak, and you learn emotional resilience and emotional intelligence on how I've been able to process my emotions, to control my thoughts and my emotions, to be able to cope with the difficulties in life. But after you understand that it's your responsibility, and now you want to and will allow yourself to feel happier, you've got to adopt this frame of mind, or this simple happiness formula. And the happiness formula is action plus growth equals happiness. If you're not growing, you're dying. What leads people to happiness is their ability to grow. If you're not growing in areas of your life that are meaningful to you, you're not going to feel happy at all. And I realized at my lowest point in my life, everything felt like it was dying. That's why I wanted to kill myself. That's why I wanted to die, because my relationships were dying, because my overall financial stability was dying. My happiness in my career was dying. My football career went away. Everything was just dying and decaying. And it was because I wasn't growing. I wasn't focusing on growing my mind and establishing habits that could help me to grow my thinking. I wasn't establishing ways to grow my financial independence so that I could choose to invest that money back into myself to help me heal, right? A lot of you are like, have reached out to me. Probably most of you that are on this podcast have reached out to me asking for help, and you're looking for ways to move on. And then I'm like, hey, here's your way to move on. And you're like, oh, that's too much money. Well, that shows me the lack of self-care that you have for yourself, that you're not even taking responsibility for your own financial independence so that you can invest it back into yourself. Like, you need to make sure that you're making you important. And how can you make you important and take care of you? Well, part of that is your financial independence that you can generate within your own self, which is, once again, taking responsibility for your finances and not just allowing everything else to, kind of happen to you, but you are kind of controlling what's going on in your life. So, realistically, you can get my course for $197 if you obviously want that one-on-one coaching, but there's also a $40 deal, and it's like, if you can't afford $40 to take care of you and to learn the lifetime time skill set to help you to be able to cope with tough and difficult times, how to navigate those difficult waters. If you don't have $40 to invest into you, listen, you don't care about you. And therefore, I don't even think other people need to care about you, because you're expecting other people to give you what you're not willing to give yourself. That's immaturity. You need to wake up. Happiness is your responsibility. The formula to your happiness is growth. If you want to experience a greater level of happiness, you need to experience a greater level of daily growth. It's your responsibility to grow your mind, your mindset, what you continuously focus on, your heart set, the emotions you experience, your soul set, your connectivity to your purpose, and your health set, your connectivity and overall love toward your body and toward your health, toward your longevity. Listen, happiness is not something that you chase. Happiness nor fulfillment is something you chase. What you chase is growth. You need to start chasing your growth, because growth is what leads you to happiness. But my friends, like, it's not easy just to focus on growing. You're like, I'm growing every single day, Tyler. I'm journaling, I'm reading, I'm writing, I'm doing all of this stuff, but I don't feel it. Well, like I said, you have to allow yourself to experience it, to feel it, to not be so emotionally disconnected because you lived with a closed off heart because one person ended up hurting you and it redefined your entire life experience. That's immaturity. That's you not being responsible for your own life. And I need you to wake up, because your happiness is on the line, and your happiness is your quality of life. And if you live a poor quality of life, then geez, like, for the rest of your life, it's gonna suck, And I'm tired of sucking. I'm tired of not feeling happy. But you've got to allow yourself. And it's sometimes like that quiet voice in the back of your mind that you can hardly listen to, that you hardly hear until you quiet your mind and finally tune inward. When you allow yourself to escape the distractions so that you can find your own sense of happiness. Those are all things that are super important. Now, hear me out. I don't believe that happiness just falls onto your lap after you experience more growth. Like, you're pushing yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, but you're still not experiencing it. Well, why is that? Well, I don't think that, happiness is something that you just feel. It's something that you generate. You see, I learned this philosophy for happiness by a guy by the name of Brendon Burchard, a profound high-performance expert teaching people how to experience a greater quality of life by establishing strong, high-performing habits into their life. And he quoted, I don't think it's his quote, but he quoted it, so I'm going to give him the credit for it, which he stated that, the power plant doesn't just have energy. It generates and transmits the energy into energy. Just like your happiness. You don't just have happiness. You have to generate and transmit it. Right? You have to generate happiness. Like, how would you behave? How would you act? How would you feel? How would you think? How would you generate happiness if you were the supplier of the world's happiness? How would you show up each and every day? How would you walk? How would you talk? What would you think? Right? It's hard. It's not an easy job. Generating your happiness is not an easy job, but it's a job that you have to take full responsibility for, because anytime you look out of yourself, outside of yourself, into a relationship, at your ex, at your home, at your it could be your career. If you're waiting for someone to give you something that you're not willing to give yourself, you're going to be unhappy for the rest of your life. Now, you can change that by, once again, number one, being more responsible for understanding what makes you happy and starting to apply those very things that make you happy. Number two, allowing yourself to experience it. Number three, allowing yourself to adopt the growth formula, which is like action plus growth equals happiness. Like, that's a pretty good concept. And last but not least, you got to understand, my dear friend, that, happiness is not something that just falls onto your lap. That happens throughout life, but it's not a daily longevity of happiness. What can help you to feel daily happiness is if you allow yourself to act as if you were already happy. How would you think? How would you feel? How would you walk? How would you talk? How would you interact with yourself? How would you interact with your kids? How would you interact with your wife or interact with your husband? How would you interact with those that you love and those that you're around? How would you leave people feeling after you interacted with them? How did you make them feel? Did you make them feel good? Or did you make them feel like, man, this person just like drains the life out of me? You can give your life away by giving people the energy that they crave too. Now, once again, my friend, I just hope that this doesn't come across as super, pushy. But damn it, it's time for you to generate some happiness. It's time for you to allow yourself to experience happiness. It's time for you to just choose happy. You don't need to be extraordinarily happy. You just need to be happy enough, being like, hey, I'm just going to allow myself to enjoy this day, because what you're doing is you're allowing yourself to not enjoy things. You're finding the negative. You're asking the poor quality questions. You're staying unhappy because you have unhappiness habits in your life that are stopping you from happiness. Now, my dear friend, if you are ready to find your own sort of happiness, if you're ready to overcome the negative thoughts that are stopping you from being able to enjoy your life, if you are ready to move on from the painful past, if you are ready to reclaim your life's joy so that you can create happiness after heartbreak, be sure to check out my course called Happiness After Heartbreak. And you can find that at happyheartacademy.com/happiness after heartbreak, or once again, find it in the show notes below. But check it out. There's multiple different packages. It's not as much money as you think it is. I've already told you the price, $197. There's like a $197 offer, a $97 offer, and a $40 offer. But regardless, finances should not be the reason that stops you. Like, you pay for things all the time that are absolutely not serving you in any way, shape, or form. If you're buying a coffee a day, you've got, a problem that's not serving you. If you're on, therapy that's cost you money, that's not helping you because you've been doing it for 3+ years and you're still feeling stuck on this moment, listen, maybe try to reinvest into something else. Ultimately, understand where your money's going and see where you can put it to reinvest it back into you. I'm not saying my course is your only answer, but I'm just saying take that money and to reinvest it back into you. The reason why I found happiness was because I was willing to grow. I was really willing to reinvest into my happiness and into myself. And I believe that if you start to do that, my dear friend, happiness will become inevitable. You will become a happier individual. And when you become a happier individual, you'll attract a happier quality life partner. My dear friends, my name is Tylerjoestratton, and this is Honey, I'm Home.